What is the wrong way to breathe and what is the right way to breathe? Two of probably the most asked questions I get, and I absolutely dislike this question, so I'm going to get rid of it once and for all. What up, guys? My name is Casper at Casper's Focus. They call me the breathwork biohacker, and today I want to talk to you about functional breathing. So like I said, people ask me all the time, what is good breathing and what is bad breathing? And I do not like this question because especially a lot of breathing coaches that I train, they ask me this question of how can I determine whether somebody's breathing is good? And my reply is, well, there is not really a good or a bad, but there is a functional and there is a dysfunctional. What I mean by functional is that the actual function of the breath that we're seeing, so how is the breath behaving, how is the breath moving through the body, and does that actually match the activity or the level of energy that your body is in? That's really the only question. Does it match? So a very clear example of dysfunctional breathing is imagine that you're sitting on the couch. There's nothing you are really doing, nothing you really need to do. You're just sitting on the couch, staring into the distance, or maybe watching a movie or something like this. In a moment like that, your breath should be showing that your body is barely doing anything. It should look very unimpressed by life in general. It should actually not really be visible at all. Because if you're in a resting state, your breath should show a resting state, which means that the breath is effortlessly moving into the body, gradually falling out of it again through the elasticity of the lungs. It means that the breath comes in through the nose with an amount of airflow that is so minimal that it's barely noticeable. There shouldn't be a very high frequency. The breath shouldn't be moving very fast. There should be a slight emphasis on the exhale if you really watch it, but this is for most people completely unnoticeable, but that's something that happens, right? That's functional. So if you think about, you have two people who look exactly the same. Let's say there's a clone of me, right? And he's just as bald and just as weird and just as handsome and whatever, right? You have no way of determining which one of these clones is most healthy. You put them both on a couch to do nothing. One of them is showing a breathing pattern that matches completely with what I was just saying. So it's effortless, it's low, it's slow, it's nasal. And the other person is kind of out of breath, is breathing through their mouth into their neck. Well, then you immediately know which one of those, even though they look exactly the same, which one of those people is healthier. It's of course the one that is not out of breath from sitting on the couch, right? So another example is for if these two clones would suddenly get up and run to the door to grab something or run up a flight of stairs. The one that is most out of breath after running up a flight of stairs clearly is in worse shape of health in general, right? This is a very easy way to look at it. So a lot of breathing practitioners and breathing coaches from different schools, for example, say that mouth breathing is always bad, fast breathing is always bad, breathing through your chest is always bad. But it's not. It's only bad when you do not need those functions. These ways of breathing are great when you're in the middle of your CrossFit workout, or when you're sprinting, or when there's an intense situation, you need to really ramp up the energy production so that you can actually do what needs to be done, right? So this type of breathing, okay, yeah, it's not optimal in the sense that breathing through your mouth doesn't deliver the same air quality as breathing through your nose. And of course, pumping the air with lots of muscle effort in and out of your body isn't as efficient as the gradual, effortless expansion and contraction of a resting breath. Of course. But in the cases that you need these elevated levels of breathing, your body needs a level of energy that doesn't match this slow, low, effortless nasal breathing. So then it's functional, right? The only thing is that if you're, for example, an athlete or you live an intense life, you have a high-paced, stressful life, and there's moments when it's completely functional for you to start breathing faster, for you to start mouth breathing or maybe even using some accessory breathing muscles, is that you also need to be able to get out of this. And this is where dysfunctional breathing usually comes in, where you breathe in a certain way for an amount of time that is functional in the moment. So for example, I see this in CrossFit athletes a lot, or people who do intense cardiovascular training or strength training also in the evening. They do their workout, they get really out of breath, and then after the workout, before they eat or go to bed, they don't take a moment to downregulate and to reset their breath at a more functional resting pace. And these kinds of people actually keep slightly and sometimes somewhat unnoticeably breathing a little bit higher up in the chest. They keep breathing at a higher frequency, which means more breaths per minute. Or they use accessory muscles that shouldn't really be used in resting breathing. But the body is kind of activated into this state, and then they don't really regulate themselves out of it, and the body just keeps breathing in the way that it was made to do during, for example, this workout. We also see this, for example, in people who have had a phase of anxiety or who live with trauma where they feel very unsafe and their body has gotten into a posture where there's a constant kind of protection against a threat, right? This fear posture where there's tension in the shoulders, the abdominal muscles have contracted and tensed up. There's no real space for the body to move. And in that phase of life or in that moment of trauma or danger, that was completely functional because it protected them and it allowed them to be more capable of surviving that situation. And that's great. The issue is that the body always tends to stay in a state that it has been frightened into if you do not make a conscious choice to come out of it. And now we, of course, have very intense lives in general. Like a lot of people don't live with physical intensity and grand challenges and great adventures, but we have all kinds of those impulses through our screen, which means that a lot of time during the day and during the night, our nervous system is not at ease. And when our nervous system is not at ease, it won't naturally start to show the breathing pattern of ease, right? So this is a way to think about functional and dysfunctional breathing. In all the moments that you want to be able to be at ease and to be fully calm and peaceful, your breath should be able to reflect that. So let's say you sit on the sofa and you're like at the end of the day, you're like, man, I'm feeling so stressed and I just need some sugar. Or I need a snack. I need a beer in order to calm down. And then you do that, generally your inner state will feel temporarily a little bit calmer, but if you really watch your breath, you'll notice that it's still kind of this cramp, almost like your breath moves through you like it's on your to-do list, you know? It's like you have to do it, it's a little bit forced, it's not really flowing effortlessly. So this is why it's so important to have multiple moments of check-in and not to think about what is the best way to breathe and what is the worst way to breathe, but to think about what is functional for me in this moment. And in most cases, when you check in with yourself with self-awareness, you start to see some signs, some patterns that relate to a stressful state, even though you're not in a stressful environment. And this is really where using your breath and getting to know your breath is such an incredibly powerful tool. And especially I say get to know the breath very consciously because now it becomes about relating to the breath. Not thinking, my breathing coach or this guy on YouTube said this is the right way to breathe and this is the wrong way to breathe. And whenever I'm doing the wrong way to breathe, I'm going to force my body to do the right way to breathe. No, respect your body. The way that you're breathing in any moment was functional for something, right? Your body doesn't really make mistakes. If you keep stressing your body into this highly activated state, and then at the end of the day, your breath is in a highly activated state, you can't tell your body like, hey, you did something wrong. That is the wrong way to breathe. Now you need to breathe right again and start to force it to breathe better. No, it doesn't work that way. It is building a relationship with your breath, where in every moment you can check in and go, hey, how am I breathing? And what does this tell me about my state? And then if I realize that my level of breathing or the quality or the character of my breathing doesn't match the state that I want to be in, then based on that input, you can start to make a conscious choice and place a breathing intervention in order to allow you to actually get in that more desired state more easily with the breath. And the reason I'm making such a big point about this is because so many people start to be at odds with their body. They start to be at odds with their breath. They're saying, this is wrong, this is bad, do it differently. Well, we need to relate to it. We need to start to see in the moment that we catch ourselves in a suboptimal breathing pattern, we need to see, how did I get here? What did I do? Which environment did I place myself in? Which input did I select that made my nervous system so stressed that it's showing me this type of breathing? And how can I help my body to find this ease, this effortlessness, this peaceful way of breathing. And then you're really mastering breathwork because you're no longer using external techniques and external ideas of what is good and what is bad. No, you are relating to your body with your self-awareness, with your ability to check and to tune in and to go, hey, how am I feeling right now? And if you do this, your breath will become the ultimate messenger of your subconscious. You will start to be able to read your breath almost like you're reading a fingerprint of your emotional states, your states of how safe you feel, the levels of stress, what you need to recover, and even how good the food you ate was for you, when you should eat. All of these things can be read in the breath if you relate to it in this way. So, stop thinking about good, stop thinking about bad, start asking what is functional and what is dysfunctional. When you find something that is dysfunctional in the moment, trace it back down. How did I get myself to a point that my body is showing me this type of breath that doesn't match? And then you'll start to see all these little links in the chain that place you into a certain state and that allow you to use your breath to do something about this, right? To really change your state into a more desirable state. Because in the end, like I said so many times, nobody cares about breathing better. People care about living better. But we'll keep that for the next video. So if this was useful to you, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and then I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.